August 4, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. It looked like it was two legs up, very long sideways consolidation that had a spike, and then another very long sideways consolidation followed by a very late kind of a rally and push up. And it's in the after hours right now. There was no economic data that came out to really move the market. And I found today actually kind of tricky because there were a lot of setups that failed to meet the criteria because the signal bar wasn't correct or it was an inside bar. I managed to take two trades today. The first one, it would have lost anyways, but I entered it incorrectly. I had meant to go short, but I went long, and I quickly stopped myself out of that position, but I lost 3 ticks. And the second trade was a higher low, and I lost that trade too. So technically, it's 2 losses. The first one was an incorrect entry, but if you look at it, and I'll get to it when we get there, if I did enter correctly, it still would have lost. So, and there was a little bit more volume, but as I said, it was kind of a tricky day for me. Maybe someone else's chart might look better, but it just seemed like there was a lot of setups that just didn't pan out. So a little frustrating for sure. In the pre-market, prices moved up. It looked like this green up channel. Inside, it looked like it was also one leg up, pull back, another leg up, but I just saw it as one big leg, pull back, starts moving up on this orange up channel. Orange up channel on the open, there's really no second entries till you get to about right here. It's a new high, it's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. And so by this time, I did have this orange up channel established. So this hasn't really created a second entry long yet. So now it's a triple test or micro triple top. It looks like it's about to bounce off this orange up channel. Technically, it didn't really touch the EMA, but I call it a touch bounce. So as I saw, it's first entry long pullback, second entry long. I thought if it broke above here, there is enough room for a 2-point scalp. And I thought there was a possible trade here. But this signal bar is inside bar, and it pushed up and it would have worked, but I wasn't really ready to take this kind of trade. Prices then continue moving up. It's the high side of the orange up channel, so I'm trusting this orange up channel more and more now. Comes back down. This is the first break, so my expectation is one leg up, pull back, second leg up. I did have these drawn initially, kind of just seeing where a measured move might occur. Right now, the measured move is still way high. So there is no first entry long, but you can see kind of a visual first leg, but I also saw as one big possible leg. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen when it touches the EMA like it does here. Looks like it's holding. And here we have your first entry long. Pushes up. Now, if the second entry long forms, I'm a little less enthusiastic because it is pressing against the high a day, but it pushes up, so the count resets. Technically, if you have a new low, it's a first entry short, but then that's all you get. Technically, you have a second entry short, but you're not thinking of going short when you see this gigantic, really strong bullish push up. So now I'm just sitting on my hands. Technically, you have a first entry long pullback. Here you get a second entry long. You don't get a second entry long here yet, but now you do. But when it follows through and you get a doji bar, again, I'm not super enthusiastic about this type of trade setup because the orange up channel has broken, made 2 attempts up. So I'm thinking the bullish bias or the bullish push on this orange up channel has played out. So I'm not 100% sure if it's going to continue upwards because there is an outside chance that the range or the trading trend channel is actually this. But when I expanded this early on looking at it, it doesn't look quite right. It actually looks more correct where I originally had it. There's a fail breakout, 2 attempts up. So now I'm just wondering if it's going to come back down, break through the EMA, maybe for a small correction, or it's going to take a break before resuming. When I chops, there are second entries here by the technical count, but there's nothing here worth taking. Pushes. There's a new low. It's a first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short here. Here, there's no signal bar to tell you to get ready to take a short, and you really only have 2 touches right now. So if there was some kind of touch in between right here, you can consider maybe a potential triple test. But there's really only a 2-touch confirmation right now. 2-touch confirmation at the bottom. I drew it into a trading range, but it's hard to trust at the moment. And then this actually sets up for my first trade that I entered incorrectly. So it's a new low. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. I also saw it more visually as one big leg up. First entry short, pullback, second entry short. Also saw a new high. First entry long, pullback, second entry long. Second entry long right here. Looks like it's about to fail. I do see this triple test. As I said, I think this orange up channel has played out. You could say it was like two legs down, and technically it's tested the high here. So I'm watching this really carefully. When it actually opens, effectively right here, and breaks below here, my intention was to go short. And I dropped in the wrong order and actually went in as a buy. As soon as I realized what happened, I quickly exited for a 3-tick loss because initially I wanted to go short for 2 points. So I'm looking for 63.38 to get down to 63.36. I entered incorrectly, said, you know what? There's no logical reason to sit in this trade and hope it works out the other way when my initial analysis is telling me go short to the other side of the trading range. So I took the loss. Remember, I'm trying to get down to 63.36. It may have gotten here. It's hard to say, but if I didn't get out here, this definitely would have stopped me out. So in this case, I'm thinking I would have lost either way because right here is about 63.38. Let's say I got in at 63.37.75. This, I think the low of this candle, let's see, is 63.35.75. So I would have to be one of the lucky traders that got in the queue early because one tick below here means the full 2 point count I'd have to be the guy that actually got out here. If I missed, it would have taken me out. If I had gone for 1 point, for sure, I probably would have gotten filled, if not on this one, but on this one. But I was going for 2, incorrect entry, got stung, which kind of, indicates to me I just got to be a little more careful when I do my order entries. So it has a potential fail breakout because I'm thinking this is the trading range. Potential fail breakout, new low, first entry short, pullback. There's like a hidden second entry short right here. I thought it was a possible trade because I'm thinking the fail breakout's coming back in. It's going to test inside back into this range. Did push through the top of the range, but I thought it's a little risky because the signal bar isn't the best because this is the same signal bar and trigger bar because it's a new low. First entry short here, breaks up, pushes back down, second entry short all in this candle. I wanted a better close and ideally below the EMA, but if you're more aggressive, you could have taken this trade. Would have been good enough for, well, depending on where you entered, you may have gotten a 2 point scalp. If you didn't, you're kind of sitting here. So this is actually where there's a triple test here. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. Triple test here. This is not a good signal bar to go long on. Follow through looks pretty good, but it feels a little late. And I saw this higher low. I saw this new low, new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. So I thought this is a higher low. And if you saw this as one big leg down, it could be first entry long, pullback, hidden second entry long. So I saw this and I thought, okay, excuse me. I drew this because I noticed, even though I think price action is inside this bigger range, I could not deny the fact that it's hitting this support. So it's technically first touch, second touch, third touch. This could be seen as a multiple test. So I actually thought there's a potential setup here. So I saw a higher low confirming the second entry long. As you can see, I entered 1 tick above. Again, if I had just gone for 1 point, I would have gotten the quick scalp. And I was trying to go for 2, and as a result, I took a loss, which is 1 tick below these 2 double bars. You could argue that I should have kept it down here, but I still would have lost. Now I look at this in hindsight, and this is a good trade for a 1 point scalp, but I didn't consider, because I was so intent or so believed in the conviction that, this is a bullish push up. I should have considered that this logically could act as a resistance because I'm admittedly trying to trade within this range. So this could be a resistance. So if this is the resistance, there's no room here to try to take a trade. So definitely I should have skipped this. So Uh, User error here, bad analysis here. It's kind of two losses. This is a smaller loss. It's only 3 ticks, but this is a full loss. Decided, I'm not quite in tune. I need to just, calm down because I'm likely going to get triggered if I take another trade and it loses. So kind of all my rules, just kind of sat out, and unfortunately didn't take any other trades. But as I go through the rest of the chart, there didn't really seem to be that many more trades that I particularly liked. So it's coming back down. It almost touches this bottom of this range, the new low, first entry short. So now it's failing to hit the low side of this range. So I draw this support. So it's one touch, two touch, triple test. Triple test, this isn't good enough to take a trade off of, even though it's triple test, because I'm a little confused. Is this the high of my trading range? Is there a smaller superimposed trading range support here? Is there a resistance and support right here? I'm not too sure. Chops around, technically have a new high. First entry long pullback, second entry long right here, but this is an inside bar, so you can't really take this. New low, first entry short, second entry short fails right here, but it looks like it's starting to wedge. So it looks like the tug of war is getting really tight, and it could break in either direction. Plus, as I was still trading this bigger range, I'm just in the middle of the range, so there's no real trade here. I just need to sit out this noise. So I'm not even trying to look for a trade here. I mean, I'll admit that I wasn't really enthusiastic to take any more trades after taking 2 losses. I was just kind of waiting here. So I saw this as a potential fail breakout of this trading range here, this gray one. But then I also saw, is the trading range even higher? Because it'd be a fail breakout here. So you have a new high, first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here, first entry long, second entry long. Green down channel wants to test the low, but the orange up channel also wants to test the high. So there's conflicting biases that either one analysis could be argued for the other. Again, it's just chopping sideways. So I look to my right, or I look to my left, and what has happened? There's a strong push up, pullback, and another really strong push up. And now it's just meandering. It's just chopping sideways. You can see it's 63.30 and it's up to 63.40. So it did go larger than that, but you can argue pretty much it's in a 10-point range. And my goal is to try to scalp 2 points out of this. But a lot of the times their setups really just aren't there. Comes down. So this is like the one touch, two touch. This was my triple test, but it didn't. There's besides being a triple test, there's no justifiable reason to take this trade. Now I have a multiple test. This multiple test kind of fell into the same issue as this one, this triple test here. It's an inside bar, never broke below, and you just came from this really strong push down. So I'm looking ideally at least for maybe a higher low or a failed second entry short. You could argue this is a higher low, but it doesn't look very convincing, especially with the body right here. The follow through is an inside bar. So again, you could say it's a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long on an inside bar. I'm not that enthusiastic about that. Pushes up and out. It's also a new low, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but it doesn't look very, there's no real good signal bar here. It's a breakout of this green up channel. So it's a little confusing what's going on. The new high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long. Again, the second entry long is an inside bar. It's not really bouncing off any other key entry point. I'm also thinking this orange down channel wants to test this low, but you could argue this green up channel wants to test the high. However, there was a failed breakout on this side. So it's just kind of all these things that are happening that are making me a little bit questioning what's really happening. I can't honestly decipher or figure out where the market's going because it's not really trending well and it's not really following inside a trading range because there's no consistent highs, no consistent lows. On a bigger time frame, it looks like it's, somewhat operating in a really big range, but there's no consistent touches. So it's hard to really trade or at least find trusting or trustworthy, reliable setups. New high, first entry long, pullback. Technically, you have second entry long here. We could say visual first entry, second entry is a terrible signal bar. And then you get the sideways, this noise consolidation. Triple test, new high, excuse me, first test, second test, third test. This triple test is pretty nice, except there's obviously, well, at the time I thought it's obviously in a trading range. There's no real room scalp out here other than maybe 1 point. And even if it's 1 point, you're kind of stretching your luck here. So I was concerned about potentially going long and having a resistance here. And now you have a multiple test. So it's one touch, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Regardless, it's just multiple tests here. So clearly I'm in a trading range. No clean setup. Doji. So this is just an area of muddy waters. Prices then continue moving up. I see it as potential second entry short, but I call it an almost trade. You have a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. Second entry long, unfortunately, it doesn't touch the EMA. And if it does touch the EMA, this blue line is the high of day. And you could tell it's already pressing to the high of day. There's no room here for 2 point scalp. There is maybe a 1 point scalp, but when I see this, I'm hesitant. First entry, second entry, even if a higher low comes up, this is what could be a theoretical resistance. It could keep pushing up and through, but I don't trust this channel yet, even though it's one touch, two touch, three touch, four touch. It's just a little bit iffy. Prices continue moving up. Again, you have a second entry long here, new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. Second entry long does break below and push up, but it just came from a really strong bearish bar that pushed through the EMA. Granted, it's an inside bar, but I also thought this orange down channel technically wants to test the lows. This could be the first attempt. The follow through here looks bearish. Could be a second attempt. So I'm definitely not thinking of going long yet. Plus going long, there's just not as much room to the highs. EMA is somewhat holding. And it was just kind of a little bit confusing overall. Pushes down, pushes through on this green down channel, breaks. Kind of first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but when you see this signal bar, you're not thinking of going short. You have a confirmed second entry short, but it looks very weak. It's first entry, second entry, but I'm definitely not thinking of a failed second entry short. So even though I'm not thinking of going short, I'm not thinking of going long yet. I need to see a higher low above the EMA to confirm the failed second entry short. This could be a higher low, but it doesn't feel very convincing. Plus, I've made a measured leg now, measured move. So it feels like if the measured move is made, it could resume coming back down. And you actually don't get a higher low. It just gets choppy. Technically, you have a first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long here by the technical count, but this is an inside bar. It's also the wrong signal bar. It's bearish. So again, just sitting on my hands. You could consider this as a high low, excuse me, a higher low. So it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, higher low. This just doesn't really scream at me to jump in. If it closes at the high, perhaps. And if you had your order one tick above here, you would not have gotten filled. And when this candle opens and closes, and I still had an order initially with my intention to enter here, hoping this one would pick me up, I would have canceled the order. You'd have to wait through this, and then maybe this one would fill you. But seeing this pullback would definitely made me second guess the setup in my read. I would have, I would clearly have already been sitting outside. I would have canceled the order, not taking it at all. Because you don't know that this is going to happen, but you also don't know that this won't continue downwards. Pushes up. I kind of draw this transparent red channel going up because I don't really trust it very much. It looks like it is two legs up. It's a little confusing. It's new high. It's a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You could argue there is some kind of support right here, but it doesn't feel very solid. It was similar to, the feeling is similar to this noisy stuff back here. There's a support here, there's potential resistance here, top of the trading range here, superimposed another trading range here. It was just overall kind of confusing. And you could say it's maybe a triple test here, but again, it's not a really good signal bar. It's just, to be honest, I wasn't quite feeling that I could read what was happening today, at least accurately. Chops around, pushes up in this orange up channel. Technically, you have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Yes, there's a second entry short here. I'm not that excited about it. There is enough room to the EMA. There is, oh, it's actually hard to say. I don't believe there's even 2 points here. Let's see. Yeah, it's only 6 ticks. So if I try to enter here, I wouldn't have even got the 2 points. I think I would have survived because my stop would have been up here, and then this would have gotten gotten the 2 points for me. But you have to sit through this noise and this stress. Prices move down on the screen down channel. Break technically has tested the low, it's reversing back up. A little confusing. It's a new low, first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short here, but my concern is I'm going to be shorting into a potential EMA. EMA, I will admit, isn't very reliable now because sometimes it was acting as support, sometimes acting as resistance, but a lot of the times, prices, especially starting here, was shooting above and below it. So if you're more aggressive, I guess you could say you could take a short here. You could say break, test the high already, so maybe it's coming back down. But this is also looking at the timestamp. There's only about 10 minutes left. This is exactly at 12:50 Pacific Standard, so there's only 10 minutes left. I'm not really all that excited to try to, I guess, make something happen today, especially already red today. It could only get worse. So at this point, for sure, I already kind of like resigned myself into thinking, live to fight another day, just see what happens, just for educational purposes. And it just kind of moves into the close. So it was a very, I would not say it was an easy day, definitely not easy for me. It was kind of tricky and just a lot of things almost got there, but a lot of times signal bars were inside bars. They just didn't look quite right. Definitely this incorrect entry going long when I intended to go short kind of messed up my thinking. And then the second trade, the higher low, it wasn't really well thought out because I didn't consider that if this is the trading range that I had, given some respect, some validity to, then I should definitely not have been buying right there because there's no room for 2 point scalp, especially if it came right from a failed breakout. So overall, two losers. Definitely not on top of my game today. Hopefully tomorrow and the rest of the week kind of shapes up to be better. Hopefully that was helpful.